it is truly an honor to be here, and I appreciate you making a little time to hear about what we're doing. It's been quite a journey, and I thought I'd share with you a little bit about it. But to get started, what I wanted to do was introduce a few people I brought along. They're part of a team of about 25 people that worked on this, which are part of a greater team of about 200 people we have at Oceanit that do these kinds of things. So on the right-hand side is, in the blue Aloha shirt, is Dr. Glenn Nakafuji. And if you would stand for a second. So Glenn is a Kalani High School grad, and then went to Purdue to get his PhD in nuclear physics, worked in the National Energy Labs for a few years before coming home to Hawaii. And Glenn is, besides being talented and a smart guy, to get something like this done required somebody that could sort of jump into the middle of a problem without actually knowing everything, learn it quickly, and help move things forward. And that's one of the key roles it took to get this done. And next to him is Dr. Tara Suter. So Tara, could you stand? So Tara's an Iolani grad, got her PhD at UCSD in aerospace engineering, and worked in the semiconductor industry at AMSL, which is a Dutch company. You read about them. They produce in Taiwan. And she came home to Hawaii. And as the pandemic was raging, or just getting started, actually, I said, you're gonna be in charge of all the clinical work and run clinical studies around the country. Now, what you're going to notice is that neither of them have degrees or backgrounds in virology or producing medical devices. And it's actually an important part of this, I think, the backdrop of what's happening. If you look at them, they look just like you and just like us. And this is an important thing to understand, because this is what it took. People who rallied to the occasion to do something that was, at the time, was perhaps unthinkable. And in the greater context of this, when this started around the country, there was very little, next to no capability in the U.S. to produce a rapid test, because most of it was outsourced. Most of the technology was in pregnancy tests. They were not manufactured in the U.S. So this group of about 25 really rallied to this. Now, kind of creating a little bigger backdrop, we started this whole journey. Thank you. You can be seated. Working on a human-style AI about 8 years ago. Just to give you a little context of how we create things from ideas. And with that, we had worked on a project with DARPA to produce a tool set we call the grammar of RNA, using Chomskyan grammar and linguistics as a model for human intelligence. It has nothing to do with a rapid test. But we learned how to design molecules mathematically with this idea that we could cure cancer. That's exactly the thing we were working on. When the pandemic hit, we said, let's use the tool set to actually produce a molecule that we can use to identify this virus, make a test. So we were part of a RADx team, which is part of NIH, a few companies around the country that had the capability to move quickly because there was really no capacity in the U.S. And with that, we produced actually a very interesting test and did it using this technique. There's an industry we can create here, and we have this kind of talent right here in Hawaii. But a lot of the time, we fail to recognize what we're capable of. And the pandemic created an opportunity for people to rally to doing something that was undoable. That's a really important thing to understand. So when you think about what we're doing here in Hawaii, you should think about what we would like to do, not what we said as our limitations going into the conversation. Because what's possible here is far beyond what we do today. And if we want to deal with inequality and some of the social ills here, creating a more diverse economy, I think, is a good step in the right direction. So last comment is I'd like to encourage the city and county of Honolulu to think about taking a much more active role in economic development and diversification. And, we got to do it as a team. So we've got, entrepreneurs like myself, but elected officials, the best form of government we're aware of in spite of all the problems. And with you and everybody else working together, we can do so much more. So I would encourage you to think like that. Thank you, and aloha.